Everybody on? Been good?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, James.
Hello. Tanny, where you been hiding?
Wouldn't you like to know? That's top secret. It's like no counsel allowed.
That's a shame.
No, I've been home.
Okay.
Can everyone see me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
and we can hear you as well.
Okay, great. So let me make sure we're all set up. We have quorum? Yes. Okay. All right. At this time, I would like to call the Finance and Economic Development Committee meeting to order. We do have a pretty hefty agenda, so I don't want to waste any time. I'm the chairman, Chris Johnson from the 7th District. And at this time, I will do a roll call. Vice Chair Michelle Harley, 4th District.
Present.
Council Member Xanthia Oliver, 3rd District.
Present.
Council Member Nathan Field, 8th District.
Present.
At-large Council Member Spadola.
Present.
At-large Council Member Walsh.
Here.
And Council President Congo.
Here.
All right. At this time, I would also like to recognize other members of council in attendance. I'd like to start first with 1st District Council Member Gray.
Present.
2nd District Council Member Darby. 5th District Council Member Fields. 6th District Council Member McCoy.
Here.
And at-large council members, at-large council member Cabrera,
Present.
at-large council member Dixon.
Present.
All right, and at this time, if anyone, again, as the council members come in, if I forgot you, please let either me or Michelle know. We're in the council office right now. And again, without further ado, I would like to dive into our agenda. We do have a few major items, but as a housekeeping measure, the last item on the agenda item number 7, Ordinance 21-024, requiring the city code to require residential buyers to pay business license. That at this time is being held by the sponsor. So that will be on the upcoming agenda. All right. Well, first I want to go to Ordinance 2116. This is an ordinance establishing a rate of taxation on real property in the taxable property for the fiscal year July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. In short, this is just confirming what our tax rate will be for the upcoming fiscal year. And this is, I guess, pretty straightforward, and I don't know if anyone in administration has anything to elaborate, but essentially the tax rate will be staying the same, so there is no change.
I'm sorry.
Is there
Yeah,
anyone from the administration that would like to talk about that item?
well, you summed it up. There's nothing really else to add except for there was no change in the property tax rate. So it's basically a 0% increase.
Okay. And just for FYI for folks who are at home or new council members, when was the last time there was a property tax increase, Chief of Staff Washington?
I believe it was 2018. Was it Rob? Was Rob Recco on this?
Yeah, it was the first full budget of Mayor Purzycki was the last time. It was a 7.5% increase.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, excellent. And I can't speak for my colleagues, but I imagine this was a goal during the pandemic to not have to raise property taxes. So we appreciate the administration working with council on this initiative. Now at this time, are there any comments or questions from members of council? All right. Oh, Vice Chair Harley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a quick question. So is the reason this legislation is on the agenda is because we changed it to 0? That initially it had a different percentage? I'm just trying to understand, like, why is it on the agenda just to say that there's not going to be no increase?
I believe as per charter, you have to pass this ordinance every fiscal year, whether there is a change or not.
Okay. Thank you, Chief of Staff. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. If there's no other comments or questions by members of council, I'd like to turn it to members of the public for any questions or concerns. All right. Well, seeing none, I would then like to turn it back to members of council if there's any final questions or comments on this item on the agenda. All right. Well, seeing none, at this time, I'd like to, since this is an ordinance, it has to be voted out of committee. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to move this out of committee to the full council floor vote on Thursday, May 20th.
Okay. Okay, I make a motion to move ordinance 21-016 to establish a rate of taxation on real estate property and the taxable property of public utilities for the fiscal year 2021 out of committee.
Second.
Second. All right. At this time, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's vote. All right. Are there any opposed? All right. The ayes have it by voice vote. At this time, ordinance 21-16 will move to the council agenda for the full council vote on Thursday. Thank you very much. Just bear with me for a second. A lot of papers here. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. At this time, I would like to turn to item number 2 on the agenda. Is substitute one to ordinance 21-17. This ordinance is to adopt a capital program for the 6 fiscal years 2022 to 2027. This, in short measure, this is a comprehensive list of the capital projects that both the administration and council deem appropriate going into the next years. This was a very careful list, and it's a very exhaustive list, and it encompasses the priorities that both the administration and council have to move the city forward. So there's investments in parks, there's investments in housing, there's investments in our community. So without further ado, I would turn it over to the administration. If there's any comments or just an overview about the capital program.
In terms of an overview, each department presented what its capital priorities were going into FY22. The one noted change, because this is a substitute, and I will defer to council because they made that amendment, that change. There's a deletion of a project in the police department. So I will have to defer to council as to the rationale for that.
At this time, I do believe Chief Staff Washington, this after conferring all of council and led by Council President, I believe it was the intention that deletion was appropriate at this time in the police department, simply because we need to move to demilitarize the police, and I believe the addition of more funding for armored vehicles was not in line with where we see ourselves going as a city.
Okay, so the change reflected in the document is 300,000 for that very vehicle that was deleted. And so that's basically it. Next time for the FY22, we go to the bond market 2 years from now. So we will go to the bond market for funding for these projects in FY24.
This time, are there any questions or comments by members of council?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Council Member Walsh.
The 500,000 is in the capital budget, correct?
300,000. Yeah,
I'm sorry?
300,000.
300,000, yes, is in the
Yeah.
capital budget.
That's
It's
correct.
not in the general operating budget.
That's correct.
Well, just so folks listening to this know that this is the capital budget is far different than the operating budget. The operating budget is money we have now. The capital budget is a mortgage payment every month.
That's
the
correct.
easiest way to explain it.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Council Member Spadola.
Thank you, Council Chair, and thank you to Council Member Walsh for that explanation as well. And also to further clarify, my understanding of the capital budget is that the things on there or the things that were deleted, it does not necessarily mean they will or will not happen between now and 2027, as the bigger ticket items will come up for a vote. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, I mean, when it's time for us to go to the bond market, council will have another opportunity to vote in support of or not for the funding of said projects. That's correct.
Thank you.
This time I would like to recognize Council Member Brigida Fields. She's in attendance. Anything further on substitute 1 to Ordinance 21-17? All right. This time I would like to turn to members of the public if there's any comments or questions. Okay, seeing none, I would like to turn it back to council for any last comments or questions about the capital budget plan. All right, seeing none, since this is an ordinance at this time, it does need to be voted out of committee. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to move out of committee and to be placed on the Thursday, May 20th City Council agenda for a full vote.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to move substitute 1 to Ordinance 21-017 to adopt a capital program for the 6 fiscal years 2022 to 2027 inclusive out of this committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
I want to do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right. This time, by voice vote, the ayes have it, and will be moved to the City Council agenda on Thursday, May 20th. Thank you. All right, just setting myself up. I believe we're on item number 3. This is substitute 1 to ordinance 21-018. This item is to adopt a capital budget for fiscal year 2022. In short, this is a companion piece to the second item on the agenda, the last ordinance, and this actually sets out the plan for this capital budget year for 2022. Is there any comments by the administration? Chief of Staff Washington, or
Sorry. You stated it correctly. You captured it correctly. It's just the companion piece to the first ordinance.
okay. All right. This time, are there any comments or questions on this item number 3? All right. Seeing none, I then would like to turn it to members of the public for any comments or questions. Okay. Seeing none, I will then turn back to council for any final comments or questions on substitute 1 to ordinance 21-018. All right. Well, seeing none, at this time, since this is an ordinance, I would this has to be voted out of committee. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to move this item out of committee to the Thursday, May 20th council agenda for a full floor vote.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to move substitute 1 to ordinance 21-018 to adopt a capital budget for fiscal year 2022 out of this committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move substitute ordinance 1 to ordinance 21-18. This time I will ask for a voice vote. This time, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. All right. Well, at this time, the ayes have it, and the item will move to the full council for a vote on Thursday, May 20th. Thank you very much. All right. Bear with me for a minute. All right, at this time, I'd like to move to item number 4 on the agenda. This is substitute 1 to ordinance 21-019. This item is to adopt the annual operating budget for the fiscal year beginning on July 1st, 2021, and ending on June 30th, 2022. In short, this is what runs the city. So the operating budget is the largest budget there is. This time, just to go over some numbers, and again, all of council was circulated this budget, but we are looking at a general fund budget of in the general fund of over $166 million. And there were some revisions during this process, and we end up, and also some net money we're going to be getting. So we actually end up with a deficit of 6.1 million. And what this proposes is that we transfer $6.1 million from the Tax Stabilization Fund, with the caveat that we are receiving American Rescue Fund plans, and we'll be replenishing those reserves. So at this time, does anyone in administration have anything to say about the general operating budget?
I'm sorry. I think you basically captured it. The revenues at 166 million. The expenditures were at 172 million. The post-budget hearing revisions are $525,000. The bulk of those changes came as a result of funding that was added for the gun violence program, the Citizens Review Board panel, And the other major item was that of expanding the pool hours for 123,000. So you're right, the deficit, or the deficit will be made up by the tax stabilization fund at an amount of $6,170,093.
Okay. And Chief of Staff Washington, I just wanted to go over kind of, as I understand that last budget season, there was tax stabilization transfer, and I guess this will be addressed hopefully soon with the American Rescue Plan use of funds, correct?
That's correct. So the American Rescue Plan funds will allow us to offset any revenue loss. And so as a result, when those funds come in, they'll just move down to our fund balance, and we'll offset a lot of what you see here with the tax stabilization.
Okay, and can you just, for housekeeping purposes, what was do you know amount of the tax stabilization fund used last fiscal year?
Rob Greco, our O&B director, are you on here?
Yeah, it was approximately 5.6 million, and you are correct, Mr. Chair. In fact, it's not even the ARP money. We did receive CARES Act funding that is helping to reimburse us and flowing through our income statement as additional revenue. The second piece being the $10 million that the county gave us for police and fire payroll. So as of the third quarter for fiscal year 2021, the year we're in, that will end in June, we foresee not having to use any of the tax stabilization reserve to balance the budget.
Okay. And just for new council members, Director Greco, and for the public, tax stabilization fund is an amount set in reserves that is more of a rainy day fund, correct?
Yeah, the city has something called a budget reserve, which there has to be a declaration of an emergency by the mayor and a 2/3 majority vote of council to tap that. There's 16 million in that fund. This tax stabilization reserve is what used to be called unassigned fund balance, and it basically is the accumulation of previous years' surpluses that were not put into the rainy day fund, and it can be used, if approved by council during the normal budget process, can be used to help balance out the budget when maybe you have some revenue shortfalls in some years. Other years when you have surpluses, it flows down into there. So you kind of even it out so you don't have to constantly do tax increases.
Okay, so it's not an emergency fund, as someone would think. It's more of a budget stabilization fund.
Exactly.
And when was the last time the emergency funds were used? Wasn't it?
We have never used. There has never been a declaration of an emergency and a 2/3 vote of council to tap the 16 million we have in the budget reserve.
Okay.
We almost thought we may have to do that when we had the terrible tragedy with the firefighters and the $8 million cost, but we were able to handle it just with the normal reserves that we had.
All right. Thank you very much, Director. Now, are there any questions or comments by members of council? Okay. All right. At this time, I'd like to turn to members of the public for any questions or comments about the operating budget. All right, going once, going twice. Then turn it back to council for any questions or comments about the operating budget. Okay, all right. At this time, if there's no questions on the operating budget, I will then, since this is an ordinance, it has to be voted out of committee. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to move substitute 1 to ordinance 21-019 to the full council agenda on Thursday, May 20th.
Mr. Chair, are we on ordinance 21019? Or is that the, okay, that's the correct one.
21019.
Wanted to make sure. Okay, I would like to make a motion to move out of committee substitute 1 to ordinance 21-019, adopting the annual operating budget for the fiscal year beginning on July 1, 2021 and ending on June 30th, 2022.
Second.
All right. At this time, since this is a large item, I will be asking for a roll call vote. Vice Chair Harley.
Yes.
All right. Third District Councilmember Xanthia.
Yes.
Oliver. All right. Yes. 8th District Councilmember Fields. Eighth District Councilmember Field. All right. Was that a here? Sorry, I'm not saying. All right. At-large Councilmember Spadola.
Yes.
At-large Councilmember Walsh.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
All right. And as the chair, I will be voting yes as well. And I will turn to Councilmember Field.
Excuse me, you said Begita, but you meant Nathan. I think you called something back.
Sorry, yeah. Nathan Field.
You never called Councilwoman Begita.
No, she's not on the committee. That's.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. My fault.
Yeah, that's probably different committee.
Right. I'm like, what's going on? I'm sorry. My fault. I was like, what's going on here? Okay.
And last call for Councilmember Field, Nathan Field. He must have dropped off, but this point, the ayes have it, and the item will be moving to the full council for a floor vote on Thursday, May 20th. Thank you very much. All right. Now I will turn to item number 5 on everyone's agenda. This is ordinance 21-020. This is to amend Chapter 45 of the City Code regarding sewer system rates and charges, water rates and charges, and stormwater rates and charges for fiscal year 2022. In short, this is a budget. As everyone, if you paid attention to the budget hearings or just or turn to our budget website, there's a distinction between the water sewer fund and the general operating fund. So what we talked about just a moment ago is the general operating fund that is to basically run the city. Now the water sewer fund is also a very, very important fund, and it's the lifeblood of our city to make sure we have clean water. So the water sewer fund in itself is over $83 million. And it has its own segregated fund. Okay, that's what we mean by water sewer fund. And is to maintain the infrastructure, important infrastructure of clean water. With that, I believe there was no changes actually. So the council is in agreement with the administration regarding the proposed rates. There was a citizens advisory board that put together their recommendation for rates instead of from time to time doing 0% and then going to 12 or 15 or 21%. We agreed during the pandemic we have a modest increase. But with that, because of CARES Act, and we do have a lot of funding to help our low income and seniors. So the approximately $1.75 that I believe it will be increasing, that will be more than covered by, I believe, the assistance funds for the residents that are least among us. So with that, I will then turn over to administration. I saw Councilmember Field. Was your hand raised?
Yes, my internet connection is sketchy, and it faded out for several minutes. I missed that last vote. Is there any way I can register a yes retroactively?
I have to check with Marshall. Is that?
No, it was already, it's already.
Yeah, it was already passed. So unfortunately,
Okay. All right.
we'll catch you on the next one. But it was voted out. Okay. So just wanted to get back. Okay. So we're for the water sewer rates. Is there anyone from the administration that will discuss that item?
Yes, I'll cover it briefly. It's a modest increase that was recommended by UCAB. Much of this increase is to make sure that the city's enterprise fund remains solvent. We had no increase last year, so this is a modest increase and will help us going forward. We have set up several utility funds to help families and individuals that are having trouble paying their water and sewer bill. And I believe there will be a move of council to increase that income threshold. That income limit is set pretty low now, so we want to increase it so more people can take advantage of those funds that are available.
And Chief of Staff Washington, actually, that's a great, and I know we were talking to Finance Department about that. Do we know that going to be ready for the June council agenda or the special meeting next week?
I can work on it. I'll work with Daniel to make sure that it gets on a council agenda fairly quickly.
What I recall the balance, I guess it was approximately 276,000. Is that how much was left?
That's how much is remaining.
Okay, so we're looking to replenish it back to a higher level.
We'll have funds to replenish it. Actually, the ARP allows us to do that as well.
Okay, and I understand, as was covered during budget hearings, Finance Department has started advertising on WITN as well regarding the program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Okay, yes, and I'd like to welcome Finance Director Taylor. Sorry, I didn't see you on there. So we will have an update on this soon. Because I understand we're voting on this now, but regarding the assistance fund, there'll be an update on that, right?
Yeah, and in the interim, there's still a significant amount of funds that are available to assist individuals and families.
Okay. All right. At this time, are there any questions or comments by members of council on the water sewer fund? All right. Seeing none, I will then turn it to the public for any comments or questions about the water sewer fund. All right. Well, seeing none, I will then turn it back to council for any last words on the water sewer fund. Well, at this time, since this is an ordinance, it has to be voted out of committee. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to move Ordinance 21-020 to the full council agenda on Thursday, May 20th.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to move Ordinance 21-020 out of committee to amend Chapter 45 of the City Code regarding sewer system rates and charges, water rates and charges, and storm water rate and charges for fiscal year 2022.
Second.
All right, so we moved and seconded to move Ordinance 21-020 to full council agenda. This time, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, the ayes have it, and this time, Ordinance 21-020 by voice vote has been approved, and will move to the full council agenda on Thursday, May 20th. And moving on to the next item on the agenda, is Ordinance 21-023. This is a non-budget item. We've completed the budget items for the evening, but this is a non-budget or budget item. But this is a contract that it needs to be expedited or has been requested to be expedited. This is to authorize and approve a contract between the City of Wilmington and PMA Management for third-party administrative services. This time, is there anyone from the administration or from risk management who's here to speak on the ordinance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Director Barnes, and Risk Manager Jim Robb is here, and he will take the lead on discussing this ordinance.
Mr. Chair, PMA is the third-party administrator currently for the city. Several months ago, we did a request for quotes to 3 different TPAs, and PMA was by far the strongest, the least cost, and the most efficient. So they were chosen. They handle all of our workers' comp, automobile, general liability, professional claims, property claims, et cetera. So I'm happy to entertain further questions.
All right, now, Mr. Robb, has the what has the premium been for the past fiscal year? Is this an increase or a decrease?
So it's a modest increase. It was in the neighborhood of 193,000 for fiscal 2021, and now it's up to 206,250 based on the volume of claims, inflation, et cetera. Well below the other quotes I might mention.
And just to clarify, PMA is strictly for workers' compensation.
No. Workers' compensation, automobile claims, all claims, general liability, professional claims, law enforcement, also property, commercial property claims, any claims that we have, PMA handles the administration of them.
Okay. Now, I thought there was a policy with travelers. Is that
is
travelers, the actual insurer?
That's an insurance policy, sir.
Okay.
Yes, but they don't.
PMA is just administrator.
Yes, and we're required to have an administrator by travelers. We're required to have a third-party administrator to handle these claims in order for travelers to continue our insurance.
Okay, so just to make it easy for the public, so someone sues the city, they got in an automobile accident, they want to sue the city, or they want reimbursement for anything that happened, right?
Right.
The PMA will be the ones who will deal with negotiating a claim unless it goes to court, right?
Well, up to a point. I mean, I have to approve anything above a certain dollar amount. They have very modest authority, but I'm in constant communication with them. So I consider their recommendations. And of course, if the recommendations are for higher numbers, then we need the city solicitor, and even higher than that, we need the risk management committee.
Okay. All right. At this time, I have no further questions. Are there any members of council that have any questions or comments on this contract? All right. With that, I would then turn it to members of the public for any questions or comments. All right. Seeing none, I will turn back to council for any final questions or comments regarding the PMA third-party contract. All right. Well, at this time, there's no more questions or comments since this is an ordinance. It will need to be voted out of committee. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to move ordinance 21-023, which is a contract between the City of Wilmington PMA Management. I would move that to the full council agenda on Thursday, May 20th.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to move ordinance 21-023 to authorize and approve a contract between the City of Wilmington and PMA Management Corporation for third-party claim administrative services out of committee.
Second.
All right. All right. At this time, it's been moved and seconded to move ordinance 21-023 to the full council agenda for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Well, At this time, the ayes have it, and the ordinance 21-023 will move to the full council agenda for a vote on Thursday, May 20th.
Thank you.
At this time, despite having a lengthy agenda, we actually have reached the end of the agenda. And I again thank everyone for participation in this process. The fiscal year 22 budget will be moving to the full council for vote. I will be making several comments in the next coming days, but I just wanted to thank everyone for remaining steadfast and investing in people, investing in stabilizing our neighborhoods. Similar to the mayor, what he elaborated on March 18th during the mayor's budget address. We face many challenges. We face many structural challenges as a city. But on council, we are meeting the mayor with these the urgent needs in the moment. We also have worked with him in terms of investing in people. And council made it fit that there would be no budget, nothing moving forward. There wasn't almost an equal investment in people. And we're finally moving in that direction, with the unprecedented investment in gun violence programming, the investment in policing oversight, the investment in neighborhood stabilization. I can't underscore just how important those are, and I'll talk again more about it, but it's huge investment because we can't just invest in buildings, we have to invest in our people. So I would thank the administration for working with council on this, Vice Chair Harley and her leadership, and all of council and the finance committee, staying up many nights and many early morning calls on this because it is very important. It's vital that we responsibly lead our city towards the future. So we do have many challenges, as Chief of Staff Washington said. We have a deficit. We have structural issues with government spending, and we will be addressing those in the upcoming months. So in years. So without much further ado, we'll then turn it over, I believe, Chief of Staff Washington. You have any closing comments or just closing words?
I just want to thank the council members for allowing us the opportunity to present the budget. It was a really robust discussion, but at the end of the day, the ordinances you have before you are reflective of what the needs of council and the administration were. So I think it was a fair process. It was an exhaustive process, but it was fair nonetheless. So, I look forward to working with council in the future, especially as we embark on the ARP. I can't promise that next year is going to be a walk in the park because we probably will be faced with some very difficult decisions regarding operations. But thank you, Chairman Johnson and all council members.
Vice Chair Harley.
Yes, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to commend and thank you for doing a excellent job with your leadership in terms of organizing our meetings and working with our staff for us to accomplish what we were able to accomplish this budget session. I know that it was, as you already said, and I don't want to repeat everything you said. You pretty much summarized everything, but this was an unprecedented year in terms of what we had to deal with, what we had to consider. And I really think that we nailed it. And when I say we nailed it, meaning working together, both branches of government working together to do what was best for the citizens of Wilmington and what was best for our city overall. So I just want to say thank you to you and to my council member colleagues. And I am looking forward to us continuing our camaraderie as we work together and come up with these win-win situations for the citizens of Wilmington. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Councilwoman Oliver, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I also would like to echo Councilwoman Harley's sentiments. I think you've done an outstanding job with just meeting with everyone and just listening to everyone's input. This is a prime example of alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. So thanks a lot.
Any other final words or comments by members of council on the budget? All right. Well, again, I would be remiss if I didn't give hats off to Ms. Bass Knight, who is here with me. She's worked with all of us on the budget, and Chief of Staff Dan Walker, again, Mary Bell, everyone who pulled a lot of, because we do everything in compressed timeline, so it's been a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings. And they've been working with us through this process. So as we round around the bend and get ready for Thursday again, I appreciate us getting past this phase, and we do have a lot of work to do. Councilmember Spadola, any parting words?
Thanks, Council President Johnson. Just want to echo your comments about Ms. Bass Knight. Anytime I called or emailed her, she was right there with an answer. She's just a wealth of knowledge. So it's I appreciate you showing her appreciation. We should all, I know we all do appreciate her. She's such an asset to us. So thank you for saying that, Chris. Thank you, Marshall.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, I appreciate it again. Councilmember Fields.
Yes, I just want to echo Councilmember Spadola. I have to say this, since this is my first budget session, and I just want to say Ms. Bass Knight made it very easy for me, and she made sure that I could understand what was going on as far as budgets and line items and different things like that. So we need, just me personally, I want to make sure that I tell her thank you and let her know that I do recognize the hard work that she put in, as well as you, Chair, that you all did a great job. But, Ms. Bass Knight, she already know I had 101 questions. So thank you so much, Ms. Bass Knight.
I appreciate it. And yeah, we definitely owe her a dinner. The rest of the staff.
Exactly.
All right. Any other final comments or parting words from members of council? We all worked hard. So, Vice Chair Harley.
Oh, yes. My last comment I want to make is to thank our council president as well for working along with this new council, our 108th. And I know that, trying to juggle everything and how it is very necessary to hear everybody out, and trying to work with administration, trying to work with the chair, and trying to work with each council member. I'm sure that was a challenge as well. So I do want to thank our council president for making the process seem to be very seamless to me. And I just felt as though that I wanted to say thank you to him as well. Thank you.
And actually that was an announcement I was going to say for Thursday evening. But it is council president was in all the meetings with me, and we were a team, and this is implementing his vision for how our 108 will work. And there's some hotly contested meetings. Several of us were in, but it all shook out. So I would like to thank council president for his leadership in allowing all of council to work as a team. So thank you very much, council president. All right. Anything further? Any other members? All right. Well, at this time, again, we'll all the items from tonight's agenda will be moving to the full council agenda on Thursday, May 20th. And at that point, we do, as a housekeeping measure, we do have a special meeting coming up next Tuesday, May 25th. This is a meeting where there will be a presentation by the administration on the initial outline for a plan for the ARP. As I know, they are working tirelessly to look at the guidance, and I know it's like thousands of pages, but I know Director Greco and his team are working on that. So we will know more at next week about the ARP, as I know everyone is interested in that. Okay. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. And I would like to recognize we do have Councilmember McCoy and Councilmember Darby I do have you down as being in attendance. All right. And at this time, all those in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Well, the ayes have it, and the meeting is now concluded. And I will see everyone for the full council meeting on Thursday, May 20th. And of course, we have the special finance committee meeting regarding the ARP on Tuesday, May 25th. Thank you very much, everyone.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Take care of you all.